We're back. Saving the best for last for our conference previews for the 2024 season. Today, we're talking about the SEC. As always, joined by Brandon, joined by Drew, live this time. We decided to say, screw it. We're going live. We're doing it live. So
write it, and I'll read it.
And we'll do it live.
Just trying something new, celebrating. We recently just crossed the 500 subscriber threshold. So thank you all very much for the support. Thanks for the love. We've really, seen a lot of support on our content over the past, month and a half, especially.
Yeah. Last month has been crazy. So thank you all a lot for that. I mean, milestones have been shattered.
Yes,
so,
we are.
Much love.
We're doing really well. So thank you all for your viewership. And, if you're new around here and you want to watch three dumbasses spew their college football takes, feel free to like and subscribe.
We're in the right place.
You were in the right place, my friend. Yeah. Ryan Smith is in the chat. Let's go, baby.
Man, starting in alphabetical order with Alabama.
Alabama will go 7-5 at the least. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot.
4 7 and 5.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Floor. Okay.
Yeah.
At the least.
I can see it.
9 wins. No, we'll get into that. But
anyway,
I think we have some chat about Bama later.
Yeah,
we might
do.
want to save that.
Totally. But where were we? Yeah, thank you all for the support. We really appreciate it. We love, talking college football, and we love the community aspect too. So, come be a part of this with us. It's a hell of a time. So, all right. Without further ado, the SEC has expanded to how many teams now? Is it 16, 18, something like that? It's
16 sounds right.
24.
But...
It's 16.
16? Okay.
Yeah, because there were 14 and then we added 2. Quick.
Yep.
CPA.
There you go.
Big maths.
It counts. The counter.
Absolutely. All right. So, as always, our tiers are newcomer, dark horse, best offense, best defense, conference championship matchup, and champion. So, I think it's fitting we start with newcomer. There are only 2 to speak of. So, Texas and Oklahoma.
50-50 shot.
50-50
Anybody taking
shot.
Oklahoma?
No. While we have this dead space, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, buddy. You were one of the day ones.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
Got to get to 10 before you can get to 500. So appreciate
Absolutely.
you,
Yes, sir.
Yep. Love it.
Love it. But yeah, Texas. Yeah, I've never done this live before. This is like.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
monitoring the
engage
chat
back and forth.
You gotta
keeping the
engage with the
conversation,
people.
Yeah.
Totally.
Man of the people.
So yeah, Texas and Oklahoma kind of at 2 different spots right now. Texas obviously coming off the college football playoff appearance, 1 play away from playing for a national championship.
Yep.
And then you got Oklahoma kind of going through a bit of a transition, year, I believe it's year 3 under Brent Venables now. So looking at them, they lost a lot in the portal, lost the quarterback, lost the O-line. It's a bit of a big year for them, and adding on to the fact that their first year in the SEC is this year. So yeah. No pressure. I honestly think we're all kind of in the same boat here, unless we want some conflicting opinions. We can talk about Oklahoma, but I think we're all kind of on the Texas train here. But correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm on the Texas train heavily myself.
Yeah.
Not much of a comp. To be honest, like you kind of glossed over it. They're in 2 very different points. I mean, Texas with their playoff run. Oklahoma is not a bad team. I'm not going to say they're not a quality add to the SEC because, you could argue they're a blue blood. I feel like most people would say that. They're pretty historic as a program. They're never bad.
I would
but
say if you
I just think
this,
there's a gap between them right now, pretty sizable gap.
I think Oklahoma is definitely a blue blood in their athletic department.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they've always been great at softball and they're pretty good at basketball, and but I know it hurts on that campus when football is not really the best team on campus. And I know that Mr. Venables is trying to turn it around, but it's just tough considering the circumstances they're in and transitioning to a much more difficult conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't really feel like there's a comparison here between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, just for
Yeah, I got some notes here.
Yeah.
I want to run through Texas. But
well, let's give Oklahoma their shine. I think.
okay, you go on Oklahoma then.
Yeah, I can go on Oklahoma. You know, Brent Venables for the longest time was seen as probably the best defensive coordinator in college football. You know, he kind of filled the void.
Smart.
Well, he filled the void that Kirby left after going to Georgia. But I think with Oklahoma, it's interesting. They did beat Texas last year. People forget that. They won the Red River Shootout game. So not everything is doom and gloom.
Lost me a lot of money.
Yeah, same. Lost Dylan Gabriel, but you got Jackson Arnold, the young guy. I think he's either a freshman or a sophomore. I'm not quite sure. Call me a casual, but it is what it is. He's a stud. But yeah, breaking in some new players. Defense will always be pretty good. So, you know, a lot to like there. Not all doom and gloom.
No, and they don't have an awful schedule. I mean, they host Temple, they host Houston, they host Tulane, they host Tennessee. Their first road game's not till September 28th. I mean, now that's at Jordan-Hare, but
they should take that.
They should,
Yeah.
but it's at Jordan-Hare. To be fair, New Mexico State was also at Jordan-Hare, and we can talk about them later. But yes, and then they've got the Red River rivalry. They have a bye, and then the Red River, and then they host South Carolina, and their first, like, I would say quality road test, if we're not going to put any respect on Auburn, is Ole Miss, but that's not till October 26th, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to when Ole Miss plays Georgia. We can get into that later, but just a tough stretch to the schedule for Ole Miss, and then they play Maine, and then they're at Missouri, which I think could be a sneaky, scary game for Oklahoma. Actually, it's not that sneaky. Apparently, Missouri is the number 11 team in the nation.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that's more straight up, and that's that's an old. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's an old Big 12 rivalry renewed.
That
right
is
there,
an
right?
old Big 12 rivalry. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that's fun.
I'll be honest. I only saw the top 10. I was at work when it dropped. I watched Brandon's videos today, and I didn't see anything else. So I'm glad Missouri's getting their respect. But yeah, and then then they host Alabama, and then they're in Death Valley to close the season out, which I think is a tough draw. That's a tough stretch to end your season on, but
For sure. Yeah. I think they'll do all right. I think I see them. I mean, they're obviously over 500. I think they make a bowl game pretty easily.
Yeah.
I don't think they make a push for the playoff, though. I don't think they're because I mean, with how the playoff is set up now, you have to be within the top 3 or 4 teams in the SEC to make that, and I don't know if that'll be them. But,
what do you think? 7.5, good over under for them.
Yeah, I like them at like 8
Yeah.
wins. That feels right for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
To me at least. But I can touch on Texas just a little bit more here. I know we'll talk about them more later in the video, but they are notably losing some pretty big production on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, they're losing Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy at defensive tackle. And then their star running back, I think it was yesterday or the day before, C.J. Baxter is out for the season with a knee injury. So that's tough. Their backup is Jaden Blue. He's going to take over. Last year, he had 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not a whole lot of production, obviously splitting carries there. But they did dip their toes into the transfer portal. A lot of this happened a while ago, so I'll give those of you who may not know or who have forgotten a refresher. But they picked up Isaiah Bond out of Alabama. And they also picked up Amari Niblack out of Alabama, tight end. And then they have Silas Bolden. He was a wide receiver for Oregon State. Kind of a Xavier Worthy build, 5'8", speedster, return specialist, I believe. But they are getting some talent out of the portal. And their schedule is pretty favorable. I would say, glancing at it, I have it written down here, their hardest game. I mean, they get all their biggest games at home. You have Georgia at home. Oklahoma, obviously, that's in Dallas. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's neutral site. Um, the biggest road game for them is either Michigan or Texas A&M, whichever one you think is going to be better. Let's just say Michigan, they're the defending national champions. So the schedule is pretty favorable. You don't have any Alabama in there. I don't believe you have Tennessee either, Ole Miss, Missouri, any of those top 15 ranked SEC teams. So first year in the SEC, they're not really getting the best of the best outside of Georgia. So I think they're in a pretty good spot as a newcomer to take the conference by storm.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Let me see. Sorry, I'm kind of adjusting on the fly here to
No, you're good.
kind of give us some kind of a way of tracking this. Bear with me here, boys. Sorry.
You're good. I'll chop this up. I'm actually gonna chop this up so we can get it shorter runtime and get more eyes on it. So you take your time. This is more of a live stream vibe right now, anyways.
Cool.
Please
Live
don't
show.
feel any pressure to
No, it's fine. I don't feel anything.
clean.
I'm not.
I don't. Wow.
I don't
Okay.
feel. No, I'm kidding.
The
All right.
idea of Noah is simply not.
He's an entity, something illusory. All right. So,
Love it.
if y'all can see it, I got Texas on the stream right here for us under newcomer.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Get a graphic up?
I'm a graphic design major myself, so.
There we go. Yep.
All right, so I think that's a good start, and we can kind of take
like
it from there. Let's see.
Now we can
here.
argue.
Now we can argue. Now that we've
Yeah.
got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I actually really enjoyed the ACC video, just because of the
Variability.
variability. That's the word I'm looking for.
I feel like there might be a little more of that in this video.
Yes.
Hopefully for the views,
Let's see.
we can't be an echo chamber.
That's hey, and Ryan also brings up a good point. Biggest game for the SEC has to either be the Red River or Georgia Bama. Just because I'm pretty sure he's trying to say like the winner of those games will probably play each other in the conference.
Most likely.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely.
That's a good point.
It's
That's a good
crazy
point.
thinking about that Red River is an SEC game now. I'm still not
Yeah.
acclimated.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah. No, but he does go on to say that he feels like Georgia and Alabama will be the bigger of the two.
Yeah.
I think if
I would say
think
so.
Yeah, I agree. Because if Oklahoma beats Texas, it'd be good for Oklahoma, obviously. But I don't know if I see them running the rest of the gauntlet of Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, and LSU
That is a tough stretch.
to make it to Atlanta.
Compared to Texas's schedule,
Yeah.
Texas made it out pretty easy.
Yep.
Yeah, they did. All right. I'm
We gonna
just
roll?
going to do this as we go to UVH.
All right.
We're going to figure it out.
Like it?
Yeah. I'll just kind of go while y'all are talking, and then I'll finish this out. Okay. So next we have Dark Horse. Now this is a category, and Drew, I believe you made a video on the odds to win the conference. I'm not sure if you have that pulled up, but I know. There you go. There you go. All right. Well,
They do. Yeah, what you need.
a lot of variability here. I mean, you could go ahead and just read them out, to be honest.
Yeah. Go for it.
So yeah, there's a lot of variability between the books as far as like actual like odds, but the order stays the same. So it goes Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Missouri, Oklahoma, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky, Arkansas, and then Mississippi State, bringing up the rear. Now, not that big of a spread between Georgia and Texas. Looks like the average or the best odds you'll get Georgia at is plus 200. And the best odds you'll get Texas at is plus 350. And by best odds, I mean what would make you the most money, just to clarify. But the lowest odds for Georgia is plus 170, and the lowest for Texas is plus 300. So, I mean, that's still very close. And then Alabama, a little bit further behind at plus 800 is the highest I see them at. And then Ole Miss is also at plus 800.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then LSU brings us into quadruple digits at plus 1,000. So I feel like the books are saying this is a two-man race.
Yep, it would appear.
But it would appear, but we're not looking at the top two men. We're looking at the dark horses here. I mean, looking at the lines here. I mean, like I said, LSU at plus 1,000, Texas A&M at plus 2,000, Tennessee at plus 1,800, Missouri at 2,500.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
Little
great
Missouri
value.
disrespect.
That's great value for Missouri. Oklahoma
Might have to flip my dark horse.
Yeah, plus 5,000. I mean, yeah. Once you get past Missouri, it becomes more of a long shot rather than a dark horse.
Right.
My personal opinion, and I said that on the short form. I was, I couldn't help myself, but yeah. So yeah, that's the order.
Okay.
I can give you all the odds again if you want to ask, but
I'm good. Do you want to go ahead?
I'll call on
and
you
give
if I need them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
You can go ahead and give us yours.
Since
Yeah,
I'm
go
already
for it.
here,
Go for it, big dog.
so. And then I'm just a little not confused, but I just want to clarify the definition of dark horse. Is this to win the conference, or is this to exceed expectations? Is this?
I mean, for me, it's to exceed expectations.
Yeah.
Personally, they have a
Alright.
chance, an outside chance, winning the conference, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah.
Because there's only, if we want to talk about dark horse to win the conference, I feel like at any given point in time, there's really only 4 contenders to actually like realistically win the SEC. Maybe. So.
Yeah. I think the most was like the early 2010s when Alabama lost to Ole Miss, and then Ole Miss lost to Arkansas, and then Arkansas beat somebody. So there was like a 4-way tie for the West at one point. But anyway, I think I'm going to take the easy one here and just go ahead and snag Missouri while I have the chance to talk.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're for some reason, FanDuel, at least at the time that this article was put out, has them at plus 2,500. It looks like Caesars is giving them a little more credit at plus 900. But,
that's quite the that's quite the spread there.
That is a big range, 100%.
That is.
But yeah, just going down I mean, they have a glorified preseason. With Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt. Their first they don't play no disrespect to the guys I just read off, but they don't play a real football game until they head to Kyle Field October 5th.
That's a fun one.
That's a fun one.
I don't know about that. No test before Kyle Field, dude?
They're going to be rocking.
Yeah, and and all 4 of the games I just listed are at home. So not only is it their first test, it's their first road test.
Yikes.
Largest crowd in the SEC.
That's big.
Yeah, that's huge. But like, that's already a noon kickoff.
Already?
Yeah, they've
like,
already.
That's in October. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If they can handle business at TAMU, then for some reason they go to UMass. I don't really know what's going on there.
Home with UMass.
Yeah, it was probably a twofer if I had to bet.
Yeah, probably. I love the idea of an SEC scheduling. Home and home with a team like UMass.
I remember a couple of years ago, it was either Virginia or Virginia Tech. I think they were at Old Dominion.
That sounds right.
Really caught me off guard. But anyway, after they head to UMass, just a hostile environment. They've got to go take care of business. Then they host Auburn. Then they head to Bryant-Denny, which is not fun. Then they host Oklahoma. And then they head to South Carolina, Mississippi State, and then, of course, they close out the season against Arkansas. I think that there are 2 key matchups on this schedule that stand out to me. Obviously, Texas A&M, like we already mentioned, being that first big road test, first big test of the season, going to figure out what Missouri's made of. And then heading into Bryant-Denny. That's where the boys become men. If you want to win the conference, you've got to win that game.
Yep.
Just mathematically,
Yeah.
So that's how that works. But I think it's going to go well. I think Missouri had a great season last year. I know that they're losing quite a bit of production, but why not? If you're looking for a dark horse.
Brady Cook and
I like
Luther Burden are back, right?
I'd love Luther Burden.
I love Luther Burden.
That man's a baller.
They just
He's
lost
so good.
starting running back, I think, and then I think Theo Weese is gone. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
That running back, what was it, Garrett Schrader or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was a good running back. He was a good back because he was like a JUCO transfer, right? He balled out.
If there were two people on that offense to keep, I mean, they kept the right two.
Yeah.
Just hopefully they can supplement around them.
Mm-hmm. They'll need to, for sure.
Yeah.
That's true. All right. I can slot in next.
Right.
All right. Well, I had considered taking Mizzou. I really like them as a football team. But I gotta go LSU, man. It's low hanging fruit. I gotta take it.
So fair.
Oh my God.
I guess
There's a lot to like with LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll start on defense. You got Harold Perkins, junior year Harold Perkins. He's going to be very good. I don't know what the hell they were trying to do with him last year. I think they were trying to play him at more of a linebacker kind of role. That put that man on the edge. That's where he belongs. He played really well as a freshman on the edge. If I haven't seen where they're slotting him during camp, but if they play him on the edge, they're going to have a lot of success. As for the offense, Jaden Daniels is gone. It's Nussmeier's turn.
Hey, let me tell you something about Nussmeier.
I like Nussmeier.
The second half of that SEC Championship 2022, balled out. He was slicing and dicing our secondary, as in Georgia.
That man had me sweating.
Yes. In my notes, I literally put second half SEC Championship 2022. He sliced us and diced us. It was unreal. Like, I can think of one other time a backup quarterback has had that much success against Georgia. We're not going to talk about it after that, but Tua.
That's tough.
I still hate Tua, but yeah. Nussmeier, this kid, Garrett Nussmeier, mark my words, dark horse for the Heisman. He is very, very good. I had more notes, but they disappeared. I don't know where they went. Blame Apple.
Come on, Apple.
Their O-line, very, very good. They've got, I think, one of the best O-lines in the nation, returning, I believe it's 2 tackles that are like borderline All-American status. So they're going to be good up front. The only concern is the secondary, and I feel like we say this every year because we said the same thing last year about LSU. Their secondary is going to bring them where they need to go, or ultimately they're going to live and die by the secondary. And last year they kind of died by it. Hopefully this year it's a different story, but I think there's a lot to like in the team, so I'm going to take them as my dark horse.
They have a Stone Cold Killer as their head coach.
They do. Google Brian Kelly murder if you don't know what we're talking about.
Oh boy. It's not that windy.
No.
Find that video tower.
Hold on. I'm about to add something to the stream real quick after I do this. It'll only be for a second. I'll take it down after.
Their schedule is also pretty favorable. Just from a non-conference perspective. As far as brand power goes, they do play USC week 1. I don't know how good Southern Cal is going to be, but and they also play UCLA week 4. So they're win after the. I almost called it the Sunshine State, but that's Florida. You know what I mean.
Try to edit that out, Brandon. Go ahead, I dare you.
Whoa.
Hold on.
Hold it. Anyway, he was a consenting adult. Legally.
I'm going to remove it now. All right. That's enough.
That's
anyway,
leave it in.
USC, Nicholls State, South Carolina, UCLA, South Alabama. Their first real conference challenge. They host Ole Miss October 12th. Then they play Arkansas. Then they head to Kyle Field. damn, Kyle Fields gets good matchups this year. And then they host Alabama November 9th. Obviously, need to take care of business if they want to go to Atlanta. They've done it before. They could do it again, hypothetically. Rivalry game. You never know what's going to happen.
True.
And then they head to the Swamp November 16th. Honestly, Billy Napier might not be there anymore, so it could be a completely new Florida team. And then they host Vanderbilt, and then they host Oklahoma to close the season, which just kind of, I don't know, rubs me the wrong way. I missed the LSU Texas A&M game.
Yeah. Well, I like A&M's playing Texas, and we can talk about that more.
Yeah,
I do.
I
mean,
like
that's
that
obviously
A&M's playing Texas.
That's obviously correct, and I'm glad that LSU is playing Texas A&M still.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wish it was later in the season. But yes, Texas does need to play Texas A&M.
Who do they have? Oklahoma in the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
all right, we need LSU to move one of those rivalries they've got to week 12. I feel like they're being left out. Like give them. Oh wait, I was about to say Auburn, but Auburn plays the Iron Bowl. Just kidding.
You mean week 14?
they're taking that week.
Or their 12th game. Yeah, essentially.
Yes, their 12th game.
Something's missing.
Well, because
all
their rivalries are mid-season. Because Florida is November 16th, Alabama is November 9th, Texas A&M is October 26th. The Battle of the Boot is October 19th. Like, shit. I mean, I understand. Like, Georgia's rival sucks. They're on the up and up, but they suck. But I mean, at least we have a rivalry game.
Landed a 5-star today, by the way.
Wow.
Wow.
Offensive line.
Watch out.
Hey, that's honestly where they might need them the most.
Yeah. Definitely. Shout out Georgia Tech.
Give Haynes King a few seconds to throw the ball, maybe.
Maybe so.
LSU. Brandon?
I like it a lot. We have variability because I don't have either of those teams. I actually have a team that we have mentioned many a times throughout talking in this conversation.
A&M?
What can I say?
Are you an A&M?
Texas A&M.
I thought Ole Miss was going to be right there for you to take.
Dude,
yes.
I can't do it. They're a top 10 team. I can't do it.
True.
In the nature of a dark horse, I cannot do it.
Right. Well, because Ryan also said the same thing. He said his dark horse is Ole Miss.
If we're counting top 10 teams as dark horses, then yes. I think this year, and I won't spoil it, I have Ole Miss somewhere later in the video, so we'll talk about them. But to me, if we're taking top 10, then yes. If there's any year for Ole Miss to win the conference, it is this year. But I'll touch more on them later. I have A&M. Mainly, I don't know if any of y'all have taken a little peek at their schedule. They have so many big games at home. It is mind-boggling. I'll run it down for you real quick. They start off the season with the Fighting Irish in College Station, Kyle Field. And then, I mean, you look at any other ranked team on their schedule, Missouri at home, LSU at home, Texas at home. I mean, it is very favorable. Looking at this right now, their biggest game on the road is kind of up for debate. I mean, probably Jordan Hare, probably Auburn. That or Florida. I mean, obviously the Swamp is a hostile environment. We'll see what's left of Florida. Well, I mean, they play them pretty early. They play them September 14th, so they won't have gotten to the meat and the potatoes of the schedule. We'll see what happens there, but those are really...
By September 14th, we've got problems.
Yeah, what I was saying, even if Napier wasn't fired, if they had to play him later in the season and they're scraping off what's left of that team off the field with that schedule that they have, they probably wouldn't have as good of a chance, but those are really the biggest two away games that they have. I mean, they pull, what is this, 4 top 15 teams at home, which is huge for Texas A&M. In Mike Elko's first year, I like Elko a lot. I like what he did at Duke. Obviously, kind of hard to pass up a position in the SEC. And I will say, I have this written down, this is the first time they've avoided playing Alabama or Ole Miss since they've joined the conference. So they've got pretty fortunate. They also lead the SEC in returning production. They're returning 77% of their offense and 67% of their defense. And then they got edge rush out of Purdue, Nick Scourton. He led the Big Ten in sacks last year.
Okay.
With 10 sacks. So they have that guy coming off the edge. The biggest loss they had, I think it happened today, they announced. Their best running back, Reuben Owens, is out for the season with a lower leg injury. But they have Amari Daniels, who had 532 yards and 6 touchdowns, and then Le'Veon Moss, 484 yards and 5 touchdowns, both in 2023 to take his place. So a lot of returning production, a lot of seniority in that running back room. And you got to think back in the Jimbo days, they were handing out bags of money. So they have 5-star recruits left and right. It's a awfully loaded roster in terms of talent. Jimbo could never get them there. I think Elko has a chance. And this year's, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how important is that Notre Dame game to you?
It sets the tone. And I do like Notre Dame a lot too. I didn't know that was a week 1 matchup.
Notre Dame.
Week 1. Yep. So it's largely important. I mean, you're setting the tone for your season there. That's one I will be watching. Week 1. That is a great matchup. And like I said, they're very fortunate to get that in College Station.
That's huge, dude.
I mean, that's already prime time on ABC. Like, it's gonna be a raucous environment.
I'm gonna be 4 beers deep at least during that game.
At the very least,
it's gonna be awesome.
I'm gonna need to be.
The rule is to average 1 a quarter for the first game.
All right, boys. Time out. I just want to say you've sold me on A&M, by the way. Thursday night. When is that game? What's the date of that game? Is that week 0 or week 1?
That's August 31st.
August 31st, week 1.
Thursday night, August 29th. August 29th. That Thursday night. Around midnight, I'm going to get out of my bed. I'm going to walk onto my porch, and I'm going to participate in the midnight yell. That's what I'm going to do. I'm ready to go, man. You got me fired up for this. I
love it.
I'm about to change my dark horse. I'm about to change it. I'm not going
Eastern
to.
Standard Time or Central Time?
Eastern.
Whatever they do it at.
Yeah,
then that would be 1 a.m. Eastern Standard.
That's okay.
Whatever time it takes.
That's okay. I will. Yeah, they'll understand.
If you want to be yelling at the same time.
I do. So, all right.
But I like them a lot. Really favorable schedule. I want to see back in the days where A&M was competing. Not to say that they haven't. It's only been a few years removed since they beat Alabama. They can pull off wins here and there, but I just think there's so much talent on that team, and the stars have kind of aligned with that schedule. Given you do have 4 top 15 matchups, which I mean is tough. But if you can even split that at home, you're looking pretty good, in my opinion. And I do like Mike Elko a lot. I think he has a good shot to do what Jimbo Fisher could not, and maybe actually develop some talent on that football team.
Defense, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's a little early, but I think that football is better when Texas A&M is competing. So
I would agree.
You're right. I kind of hope you're right, but we'll see.
I like it.
Jury's out. All I'm saying, for teams like A&M and Ole Miss, with the landscape of the SEC this year, with Alabama being in the state that they're in and 2 new teams, this is your time. If you're going to do something, you need to do it now, or you're going to get passed by again. So
I like it. If not now, then when? I like it. Very nice.
There we go.
Really, like one true favorite to
get
the conference championship game. And the second spot.
We'll talk
Texas
about that.
Sorry.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get
getting
there. I've been waiting on it. Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Hold it.
All right. Anything else before we move on to put a bow on it?
Let's get into offense, baby.
All right. Best offense. This one, there's a few really good choices here.
This is a multiple choice question.
Yes, it is.
There's no one right answer, I don't think.
Does anyone want to take it? I know one team that will be in this conversation. Anyone have them? Then want to take them?
I might have done this with not having that team there in mind, because I'm going to talk about that team later.
Same.
So,
Drew?
If anybody has them, do you want to go ahead and talk about them?
I mean, to echo what Ryan Smith has already said, Ole Miss is going to live and die
Mm-hmm. Y'all have Ole Miss?
I have Ole Miss.
I do.
I have Ole Miss too.
Well, shit.
I thought somebody was taking Georgia. I thought somebody was gonna do it.
You know what?
Georgia is too balanced to fit in one of these categories.
That's
my
valid.
Personal opinion. No, that's funny. Georgia crossed my mind for like half a second, and I was like, nah.
Can't do it.
I can't do it. But no, I mean.
All right, well, let's get the Ole Miss party going then.
Yeah, no, Ole Miss is my answer.
I'm just gonna do that, like what I did. Well, I gotta do it for Texas now too. No, I'm not. I'm not actually. I'm not gonna do it.
It's got to be Ole Miss for me because I mean, they've never been a defensive-minded team. Lane Kiffin has proven himself time and time again, year over year, to be an offensive guru. Now that hasn't really been enough to win the West in the past. I think the West is still a little bit more defensive-minded than the East, fairly, because you get the shootouts. But they are there now. It does suck losing quite a running back. The transfer portal, Mr. Spin Move himself, Senor Judkins. If y'all have seen the clips, I don't know if y'all have seen the clips of him on NCAA 25, College Football 25. But there are literally like sports books out there that will not allow you to compete with College Football 25 as Ohio State because his spin move is so broken.
Yeah.
We're going to see if that translates in the Big Ten this year. But back to the SEC. They're going to plug and play. I mean, it was good to have the horse in the barn, but they've always been a throw-first team anyway. Yep. Mr. Dart he needs to have a coming out party. I think he was already whispered in the Heisman conversation last year. For Ole Miss to get pushed over the top, I think that this team is going to have to ride on his shoulders. He's going to have to step up. Ole Miss has had a rich history when it comes to forgettable white quarterbacks with great hair. The man needs to separate himself from the pack and finally do what none of the others have done, and that's make it to the conference championship game. Because even Bo Wallace was able to take care of Alabama in the past and just wasn't able to carry it on down the stretch. So, that's really all I got to say. I'm not going to take any more of the speaking.
Yeah.
Because y'all go ahead.
We can fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
I can spout some of my pro Ole Miss propaganda now. So they're returning 8 offensive starters from last year. To start off with, I completely agree. This is a team whose entire identity runs through its offense. And I really think that's the only team that you can say that about in the SEC, other than maybe Tennessee, but they have James Pierce Jr. He's a hell of a defensive end, edge rush, whatever they have him slotted at. They do have a defensive identity. Not that Ole Miss doesn't have any kind of defense, but when you're talking about Lane Kiffin, he's completely offensive minded. It lives, breathes, and dies through the offense and how they play the game. So I don't think there's really any other choice here. But they're returning 8 starters. A lot on the O-line. I believe they only have 1 loss on the O-line, which is big. And then everybody wants to say, Quinshon Judkins. They don't have a terrible running back room behind him. They have Rashad Amos. He was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. He split snaps with Quinshon Judkins at 1,075 yards and 13 touchdowns. And then Ulysses Bentley, the 4th, sick-ass name. Amazing name. 540 yards, 4 touchdowns, not too shabby. And they picked up a running back out of the transfer portal in Logan Diggs. He went to Notre Dame, went to LSU, and now he's at Ole Miss. He had 653 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. So they're bolstering that running back room. They're going to find ways to get their playmakers the ball in space. That's kind of what Lane Kiffin does. He spreads you out. He slings the ball around. Jackson Dart is one of the better SEC quarterbacks this year. A lot of good quarterbacks in the SEC, but he's in the upper tier, I think. And, he's sneaky quick. He can run the ball. He can sling it.
Deceptively fast.
Right, Brandon?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's deceptively fast. He's real scrappy.
First one in, last one out. Real,
Absolutely.
yeah, a real gym rat.
Jim
Just
Rat
a
lives in the
film
lives in the
nerd.
film room. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Everything like that, he's got it. But really, I mean, that's if you're gonna talk about best offense, that's really the team I think you have to go with. It's their identity, and it's entertaining to watch. And as like I said before with A&M, I think Ole Miss is in the same boat. They're gonna pull out. I think Lane Kiffin is hungry. They've been doing so much work in the transfer portal and the NIL with their collective. In that space, they've been really spearheading the whole effort in college football. And I feel like some teams have even been emulating them and what they've done with their donors and their pool and everything like that. They're all in. They're pushing their chips into the middle of the table. I think Lane Kiffin knows time is running out to make a push because Saban just retired. You have new players in the SEC. You need to get your name out there, and you need to do something before the newcomers solidify something. And I think Ole Miss can do that through their offense.
Yeah, I like it. Honestly, no use in beating a dead horse. You guys have pretty much covered it. I have only thing I would add is the transfer portal, like you said, recruiting along the D line, but that doesn't really apply to the category that we're in. But it may come up again later. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. But Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, great player, gonna prove it again this year. Yeah, that Peach Bowl against Penn State played pretty well. So I'm excited to see what they do this year.
I mean, last but not least, their schedule is also very favorable.
Yeah.
Their over/under, according to FanDuel, is 9.5. I think their floor is 10-2 because they go Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky, South Carolina. They're at Death Valley, which isn't great, but still, I mean, it's Ole Miss. They should be taking care of business. Oklahoma, they host. They're at Arkansas, and then obviously they host Georgia in November. Then they head to the Swamp, and then they've got the Egg Bowl, which is on Friday, which sucks. But honestly, I really feel like there's only one like loss on here, and it's not even really like a true loss. Like I said it earlier, Georgia could very well drop one of the games that they have on the road this year. I'm sure we'll be discussing them later, so I won't get into that too much. But I mean, yeah, if Ole Miss could take care of business, they could very easily be 11-1, 10-2.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
I like it. All right. Clean sweep in best offense. Will it be the same for best defense? I might take first stab at this one, honestly.
Go for it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
yeah, Drew. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. I am going to try not to sound like a homer, but I'm going to sound like a homer.
Says the guy wearing the Falcons hat. And
Yeah,
the Braves shirt.
that's true. I'm going to go ahead and type it. Pardon my misspelling of the word Georgia. You didn't see anything. Going to go ahead and put them right there. Look, as long as Kirby Smart is the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, they will always be in the running for the best defense in the SEC. And that's just point blank period, as honest as I can be to any SEC or college football fan. The man just knows how to recruit. He knows how to recruit the South. He's proven to recruit the West. He's gotten guys from California, Brock Bowers, Kendall Milton. But the point being, the man can recruit and the man can stack talent. And I think that's what we're going to see this year with Georgia. You got some key departures in the secondary, but that's what everyone's saying is going to be like the weakness of the Georgia defense is the secondary. But you've got so many young, talented guys. The only thing you could bring up to me that would make sense as why Georgia's defense would not be as good is the lack of experience. But on the other hand, we get to play football games and we get to gain experience. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. You got guys like Julian Humphrey, Dalen Everett. Dalen Everett was burnt toast multiple times last year. I think he's going to bounce back. He's going to have a great second season as a starter or at least a key rotational piece. You got key freshman KJ Bolden, 5-star coming in at the safety spot next to Malachi Starks, who leads the secondary grouping for Georgia. That being said, and I'll try to leave some skin on the bone because I think at least one of y'all might be in the same boat with Georgia. I honestly think, like I said, as long as Kirby's the coach, as long as we poached the DB coach Travaris Robinson from Alabama, Kirby's going to be in the running for the best defense in the SEC and in college football. And this year, pools and pools of talent at his disposal. Sorry. But yeah, that's what I got.
For sure. I dig it. Drew, before I go, do you have somebody else?
Man, I'm really in a gun to my head situation here.
Because I could talk about Georgia because I have them. I just didn't know if you had them and if we had to fight over who could talk about them first.
Go ahead. I'll go ahead and say they're also my pick because I'm a rational human being. However, I am going to try to find the second best defense in the SEC.
Dark horse defense. I like it.
Dark horse defense. Yeah.
And disclaimer,
adds some variability.
One of the things, like statistically, that could prevent Georgia from being on paper the best defense is because of the schedule. Just want a disclaimer, it's a tough schedule.
Mm-hmm. It is a tough schedule. I think, Noah, you hit the nail on the head. I'll try to fill in the gaps here. I mean, we could talk about Georgia football all day.
Totally.
It's what we do anyways. So I'm just going to talk some few key points here.
How many of those Cayman Jacks have you had?
Cheers, brother.
Go fuck yourself. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, you may lose my composure, Drew.
I do that often, Pookie.
Hey.
Hey, yo.
Anyhow, so back to Georgia, back to SEC football. So some key losses. You have guys that went to the draft: Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bowler, Tyke Smith. Atlanta Falcons, Zion Logue. And then you lost Dumas Johnson to the transfer portal. A little bit of surprise in the offseason. But he's over at Kentucky now. But even with the loss of him, I think Georgia has one of the best linebacker rooms, not even in the SEC, but in the nation. I mean, you're talking about Smile Munden. CJ Allen, I think, is going to have a breakout season. The kid's a stud. Jalen Walker. And then coming off that in kind of like a hybrid outside linebacker edge position, you have Mikael Williams, who is a star. He'll be a first-round pick, maybe even a top 10 pick off the edge. He is going to have his way with some of these offenses, I believe. But it is the biggest, weakest point on this team is last year, I would argue it was the front seven. They kind of got pushed around against Alabama in the SEC championship. This year, it's the secondary. Like Noah said, there's some notable lack of experience in the secondary outside of Dalen Everett and Malachi Starks. Those are really the two most senior players in that secondary, even though Malachi Starks is very good at football. And then I couldn't forget Dan. Yeah, yes. And then not to forget Dan Jackson, maybe not the best NFL talent. He does have experience, though. He does have a lot of experience running that Kirby Smart defense, and as long as he plays his role, that's perfect.
He was actually my wife's dentist's son.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There you go.
That's cool.
Go check out Joe Jackson for all your dental needs if you live in the Gainesville area.
I saw that glance. You're still getting used to saying the word wife.
I am. Gainesville, Georgia, by the way. Gainesville, Georgia. The better Gainesville.
I can't. Hey, man. I just live here.
Hater.
Big guy. Yeah, Dan Jackson. Kind of on the Jackson Dart wavelength. He's a scrappy guy. But anyways, no, he's a good player. He's a good player. And then you also have a lot of young talent. Julian Humphrey, Ellis Robinson, sorry, 1 second.
Young
What's
guys.
KJ Bolden.
Yep.
Bolden. A lot of young guys in the secondary. Like you said, Kirby Smart's his thing is defense. The defense is going to be good. There's no doubt about that. And on paper, I think they do have the best defense. Like you said, hard schedule. A lot of good offenses could not fully reflect in the stats. So I could see some arguments for maybe some other teams with more favorable schedules. But as far as Georgia goes in this category, I think for me it's kind of a no-brainer. They're just going to be really good on the defensive side of the ball no matter what.
Yeah.
But Drew, if you want to highlight somebody else,
Don't mind
please
me.
do.
Do you want me to put Georgia on the list for you, or do you want someone else? Like, that is the question. Do you want to go on record betting against Kirby Smart?
No. I do not want to go on record
No.
betting against Kirby Smart. However, and Mr. Smith over here also agrees. He says, I hate to admit it, but I agree that Georgia will always have the best defense for sure. I think he left out the part as long as Kirby is there.
Yeah.
Because we have had some ass defense.
I would love to always have the best defense for the rest of time. That would be awesome.
That would be great. This is not good because you look at the first 4 categories, we have been unanimous on 3 of them.
Damn, bro.
However, for the sake of parity and variability, it's honestly a pretty tight race for second best defense in the SEC. But from what I'm looking at, as far as returning production and what they were able to do last year, and with everything going on, with the lack of divisions, and we've actually already spoken about this team.
It's Vanderbilt.
The Missouri Tigers. I know that when we spoke about them earlier, what the fuck, guys? When I spoke about them earlier, I highlighted the offensive. However, I completely failed to give the defense their props that they were due. So yes, they in the past, this last year, they allowed 14 or fewer points in 4 of the final 6 games of the year, and then they filled personnel holes in the portal. They have key veterans coming back at Johnny Walker Jr., Christian Williams, Chuck Hicks, and Tristan Newsome. That's all in the front 7. And the secondary returns 2 starters, including star safety Dalen Parnell. The biggest issue, obviously, is replacing Darius Robinson. But, they recruited pretty well to try to get that pass rush keep going. They also have like we mentioned earlier, they have a very favorable schedule as they are missing out on Georgia, Texas, and Ole Miss. Obviously, they'll still have to take care of business, Texas A&M and Alabama. However, I think it's a good season for the Missouri defense to play well. Like I said, they're returning quite a few pieces of the puzzle. So we are going to see how that goes. But yeah, I guess with the schedule being what it is, and with all of the returning production that they're going to be having, and the fact that they went 11-2 last year, and they seem to be trending in the right direction at the end of the season, I'm gonna have to go with the Tigers as the second best defense in the SEC. And I don't know, man. I don't know. The last time we went up to Missouri, I still remember praying to God that we didn't lose that game.
Yeah.
And it was
well, that prayer worked, brother. So thank you for that. But
I have never bet on the Georgia Bulldogs since.
You don't shit where you eat, man.
No,
can't do it. I can't do it.
Me and God had a conversation somewhere in the middle of the 3rd quarter. I said, if we are able to pull this one out of our asses, I will never bet on Georgia again. So
yeah,
it's worked out.
I'll never forget. I got them 20.5, minus 20.5. I was just like,
yes. I was like, dude, we're going to cover the first half.
I bet it, and I put like $10 on it. I'm like, this is easy money. Like, no way this loses.
It's highway robbery.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah. It was bad.
I'm sure I sent it in the group chat, too. Like,
yeah, lock of the week.
Yeah, lock of the week.
Oh, man.
Bring lock of the week back.
Are we?
We might. Hey, why not?
Why not? I got some other ideas. But, hey,
I think we need a new
time.
format for lock of the week. But I do like the idea.
Okay, sounds good. Wow, clean sweep in the last 2 categories. It's tough, man. And I don't know if it's gonna change.
to be fair, it's like unarguably the best offense
Yeah.
in the conference.
No,
and
agreed.
the best defense in the conference.
There's not much argument. I mean, you got to get somebody else their roses in like Missouri and whatnot. Like they have a good defense, but
They do.
if that's the second best defense, you know,
Yeah.
I don't, no offense to Missouri,
No.
good defense.
Yeah.
It's just Georgia with how they recruit and how Kirby Smart runs that ship. It's just another level. It really is.
It is.
I mean, like closely behind Missouri as far as like returning production and all the advanced stats. I mean, there's Alabama and
Alabama's always there.
yeah, Alabama's always there, and Texas not far behind them. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that is what it is. We'll see how it plays out. But
Yep.
Who's next, Noah?
Next, we got conference champion matchup and conference champion. We kind of have historically rolled these into one. So, like,
Yep.
say your matchup, explain it, and then pick your champ. So, would anyone like to take first dibs?
I can take it.
Okay.
Since I have a distinct feeling that at least one other person in this call will agree with me.
Texas A&M gonna win it all.
Yes.
Vandy
Aggies,
A&M.
it's their year. It's their year. Missouri A&M. No, that'd be interesting. Look, I mean, the fact of the matter is that one side of this matchup is locked in for each and every one of us. There's no arguing that. It is who is on the other side of that matchup that really counts here. And for me, I have a hard time convincing myself. Now, one of you may have the best argument ever. I could change it later. But as of right now, as of 8:20 on August 12th, I cannot find a way to convince myself that Texas won't be there. Truly and honestly. Running down their schedule, I mean, obviously, Georgia and Texas play in the regular season. If you didn't get it before, I have Georgia and Texas in the SEC Championship. They play on Saturday, October 19th, which will be a huge game in Texas. So that'll be a fun one. But their schedule outside of that is not the worst thing ever. I think we touched on it earlier, especially their first year in the SEC. They start off with a bang after their first week with Colorado State. They go to Ann Arbor in Michigan. But honestly, I think that's at least a 2-touchdown football game. I'm not high on Michigan at all. Go watch our Big Ten preview video if you want to hear our thoughts on Michigan. Not everybody is low on them. I personally am. Even if I weren't, I think Michigan's lost way too much to beat Texas, even at home.
Just offensively, I think for Michigan.
Yeah.
They've lost a lot. Like, Alex Orji could be pretty good. You know, he keeps that kind of dual threat vibe that that JJ had at times. Could run the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's just their outlook is so weird, especially with like the ongoing sanctions and just all the outside noise. I feel like it's such a big distraction for the team currently. And now they could be like shutting it out, locking in, whatever, but it's hard to not think, especially that they're trotting in Jim Harbaugh for their inaugural captain for week 1, right after he got banned if he were to ever come back. So maybe that'll be bulletin board material. Maybe that'll light a fire. I can't see him beating Texas. I really can't. And then you have Red River rivalry, and Dallas. That's usually a coin flip, but I like them on the better side of that. And then you have Georgia. You know, obviously I can't really say the outcome of that. I'm biased, but outside of that, the next hardest game you have is November 30th in College Station, Kyle Field, Texas A&M, and that is a manageable game for them. They just have so much returning talent on that team, and they dipped into the transfer portal as well. Quinn Ewers is going to be in New York, I think. He's a hell of a quarterback, and I think he's got a shot at it. He's on the cover of the football game. He's got to be in New York, right? No, that doesn't mean he's going to be in New York, but I think at the very least he'll be in the conversations leading up to New York. But we can make a whole other video on Heisman contenders. I think that'd be fun. But that's who I have on that side. And with Georgia, we all know what their schedule looks like. It's a toughie. You open with Clemson. You go play Alabama at Bryant-Denny. You have Ole Miss at Vaught Hemingway. And then you go to Texas. So 4 games, 3 of them which are road games, huge games. Get to start off the season. I think they take care of Clemson, and then between Ole Miss, Alabama, and Tennessee, they have it at Stanford. Still a hard game, but between Ole Miss, Texas, and Alabama, I think I don't know. I see 2-1 in those 3 games personally. That might be biased. Maybe it's 1-2. Even if that's the case, I still think they have a shot at the championship game. So I don't know. I think Georgia, obviously, what happened last year in the SEC championship happened. If it were any other year, they would have made the playoff. Like 2021, they lost Alabama by a larger margin and made the playoff. But last year, there were just too many teams that were good with few losses. So it wasn't possible. But this year, I mean, I think they're coming back with a vengeance. Carson Beck is at the helm. He will be possibly in New York as well. And then you have a lot on the offensive side of the ball that you lost, but you're gaining a lot. And Trevor Etienne, Rara Thomas is gone, but you have Dominic Lovett and Dylan Bell, and then Anthony Evans III. I love him in the EA College Football 25. My first move is to sub him, and he's got 97 speed in the game. Oof. Kid's a track star. He's like an Arian Smith type. You also have Arian Smith on the offensive side of the ball. Some question marks on the offensive line, but overall you have talent, 5-star talent littered throughout the offensive line. I don't know. I'll stop my Georgia rant there because, like I said before, I could talk about them for episodes.
Plural.
But I think they're in plural. But to wrap it up, too long, didn't read. Georgia, Texas, and then I have Georgia winning.
Okay, very nice. Drew, I don't know about you, but that is exactly my pick, and I can echo his sentiments. I had Ole Miss there, but I don't know, something about Lane Kiffin. It's similar to what we were saying with
Miami.
Yeah, trusting Cristobal in our ACC preview. He's a great offensive mind, but as a head coach, I mean, I just don't think I can trust him at this stage. You know,
it's the defense.
Sark.
Could you imagine if Lane just said "fuck it" and became the offensive coordinator at Georgia?
Why not, man? Offensive analyst always hiring. Always hiring. But yeah, I mean, to kind of echo your sentiments, Brandon. Georgia, I'll start there, short and sweet. Loaded, offense and defense. I have some other wide receivers I can pull out of my ass. Colby Young, London Humphreys.
Additions.
Transfer portal. Yeah, transfer portal guys.
You're a sec out of Stanford, the tight end.
Yes. Not to mention Oscar Delp. Not to mention Branson Robinson, Roderick Robinson. Just loaded, top to bottom. They're 3-4 deep, and at quarterback too. Because next year we'll have Jaden Rashada, we'll have Gunnar Stockton. Just the options are limitless. They could beat you a million different ways if they wanted to. And then going on to Texas, they're riding the high of a conference championship, a playoff appearance. They like I said earlier, one play from a national championship berth. I think obviously. The reloading part of it is still questionable because you lost Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, but bringing in Isaiah Bond definitely does help. And, another year offseason development for Quinn Ewers, can't hurt. So I think, like you said, he will be in New York. I think both of these quarterbacks in this game will be in New York. So Beck and Mr. Ewers. But
wins the Heisman?
Honestly, maybe. They'll have a duel.
It could come down to that, honestly.
Kind of like a last year's Pac-12-esque.
Yeah. But yeah, I have the exact same pick.
Both quarterbacks played like dog shit, so Jaden Daniels won the Heisman.
Yeah. They didn't win it. They lost it for themselves.
Yeah, they both lost the Heisman that game.
That's crazy. Yeah. I was like, I guess we got to give it to Jaden Daniels. Both these guys suck too much.
Yeah. But that regular season game at the end of October will definitely tell us a lot. If Georgia comes in and, wins a tight game, everyone's going to be like, I can't wait for round 2 in Atlanta in December. If, either team wins by multiple scores, maybe, we have to reassess. But But yeah, looking at the chat, Ryan, he had it. It depends on the outcome of the Georgia-Texas game. Georgia wins that game. Texas will win the SEC championship. Otherwise, Georgia loses in the regular season. They'll win in the SEC. So
it's the age-old adage that you can't be the same. It's hard to be the same team twice.
Definitely. Washington just did it this offseason, or this past season.
They
Maybe.
did.
All right.
Son to Dan Lanning.
Yes, he did. Kalen DeBoer's daddy.
I think the only thing that y'all missed on the Georgia side of the ball is Cash Jones.
It's Cash Jones.
That's our bad.
You're getting shit on.
He played in all 14 games last year.
Really?
Yeah. He played.
That's a stat. I didn't know that. I watched all those games. That's crazy.
I watched all those games.
Branson was out though. I don't know how Branson coming back changes things.
Yeah.
Reps might take a hit.
Yeah, maybe. You know, the 22 attempts with 161 rushing yards and a touchdown, and then 11 more catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. I don't know, man. He put the nail in the coffin over Ball State. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, man, I will say Georgia loves to use those receiving backs out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had James Cook. We've had Kenny McIntosh. You know, they've had a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
ETN out of the backfield is going to feed families.
Yes,
I promise you.
Yes,
I promise.
Yes, it is. And he also forced a fumble in the Orange Bowl against Florida State. Just want to say, special teams.
He can do it all.
Man is a Swiss Army knife. Put him on the field. He's gonna make plays. But no, I don't think it's any surprise that I have Georgia coming out of their schedule.
I'm about to say coming out of the East.
I almost said coming out of the East. Out of habit. But yes, I do have Georgia coming out of their schedule. Probably worst case scenario, they are 11-1. Doomsday scenario, I think they drop 2 of those 3 road games that y'all mentioned already. And you know what really pisses me off? The SEC has still not stated what the tiebreakers are to make it to the conference championship game. Because let's just assume that chalk holds, right? This is where my problem is. Let's just assume that Georgia goes undefeated. Texas's only loss is to Georgia, and Ole Miss's only loss is to Georgia. I don't know what the next tiebreaker is. Is it differential? Is it common opponents? I don't know. Because I could see the logic behind either one.
Common opponents is probably the most common because I think that's what the Big 12 uses because we had that situation last year.
Yeah. There was like a 3-way tie for second place.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Oak State.
That's interesting. That's a good question.
Yeah, because I think that does change my answer one way or the other. However, I mean, just for variability and the fact that I think if it's not this year, it's probably never going to happen. I think that with the amount of production that Ole Miss is bringing back, even though they are missing their star running back, I mean, I think Brandon already mentioned earlier, just the fact that they've been able to bolster the running back room with, I think, 2 former 1,000-yard rushers via the transfer portal, and their 1B that they had last year, whose name escapes me.
Rashad Amos.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we call that an alley-oop in the biz, folks. But that still leaves the question open. If they're both 11-1 at the end of the season and their 1 loss is to Georgia, let's just say they both lose by 10 points. But anyway, even if that is the scenario, I don't really know how the path would work there because, I mean, we've seen Texas drop games they shouldn't in the past. The Red River rivalry last year, which, by the way, they're going to play them again this year. I don't know if y'all knew that, but they are going to play Oklahoma again. And listen, outside of playing Georgia, both teams do have fairly favorable schedules. Texas does have to play Texas A&M at the end of the year, which I would argue is more difficult at being at a certain point in the season. I do think playing Texas A&M at the end of the year is more difficult than playing LSU in the middle of October, because LSU, I can already tell you, is going to be looking forward to playing Alabama at the beginning of November. And then, yeah, I mean, legitimately, other than that, I don't see any more losses on Ole Miss's schedule, unless they just fuck around and drop one to South Carolina. But, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think there's a very real possibility that both teams have the same record at the end of the year, and then, I don't know, what is it, up to the committee at that point, potentially? Greg Sankey goes out there and flips a coin. But either way, I think no matter who we're playing in Atlanta, I still think that Georgia will run the table. Now, in this other scenario that Ryan mentioned, if Georgia loses to Texas, that makes it a lot more clear-cut. And if Georgia runs the table, they'll be in Atlanta, most likely, with Ole Miss obviously having lost the tiebreaker. Yeah. I think that Kirby will get them right. Yeah, I don't really have any more to add. I feel like you've already hammered it home on the UGA side of things. We've already talked about both Texas and Ole Miss earlier in this video. I think if you started this video and, you know, those three teams weren't mentioned at the end of the video, something would be wrong with us. Because, I mean, who's next? Who would be the last one?
Y'all sleeping on Bama.
We are sleeping on Bama, but I think if there's a year to sleep on Bama, I think this is the year.
It would be this year.
Year one
Yes.
with a new coach. Yeah, I think so. There's obviously going to be, in any new offense, there's growing pains. So, yeah, I mean, we could get into it, but.
We can, because, I mean, their schedule is not awful. I mean, Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin, for some reason.
At Wisconsin, that game.
That's fun.
That's a trap game.
It is fun. It is fun.
Big noon Saturday.
Yeah, at 11 a.m. Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, and then ABC, they're hosting the Dogs. I mean, honestly, you're right. You're right. I am kind of glossing over the Tide here. I mean, going into Bryant-Denny is not easy, no matter who you are. Especially when, for some reason, Alabama just seems to be our kryptonite. Hopefully, if we lose that game, that's when the doubt starts creeping in. It's like, wow, maybe it wasn't Saban. Like,
It was that short man. No,
Yeah.
It was Saban. Come on. Come on.
I hope so. But then, yeah, I mean, it's Vanderbilt and South Carolina, Tennessee. They host Missouri. They go down to Death Valley, and then Mercer, Oklahoma, and then they host Auburn. I mean, honestly, yeah, no, y'all are right. Y'all are right. They could also have only one loss at the end of the season, and they don't play Ole Miss or Texas. So we could legitimately have a three-way tie for second place. I have no idea how that works. Who knows? Greg Sankey is going to have to make a decision here in the next 12 days.
It's true.
When's the first SEC game?
24th.
24th? Yeah.
Wait, is there an SEC game that week? I don't know.
I mean,
I
know.
It's not SEC versus SEC, but
Yeah. First conference game would be like probably week 3. If I had to guess.
that makes sense.
Still.
Anyway, decisions have to be made. I really hope they're having this conversation as we speak, because the more I look at it, the more I think you could legitimately have 3 11-1 teams staring each other in the face.
Definitely.
I can see it.
Play each other.
Totally. All right. So you got UGA Ole Miss with champion UGA.
Jay, yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for
Very
clarifying.
nice. Absolutely. Just got to get a logical conclusion. That, I think, pretty much wraps us up. So I can just wrap up the stream here, or do we just want to wrap up the video and then we can talk for a couple
We can
more minutes?
wrap up the vid and
Okay.
then end the stream out after that.
Okay, yeah, that works. All right. Really, just how the sausage is made moment right here. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our 2024 SEC preview. If you like this sort of content, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. We really appreciate the support that we've gotten recently on our videos. Thanks a lot for 500 subs. We are mere days away from week 0. I'm gonna guess off the top of my head 12 days from week 0.
Mm-hmm.
Less than
12. So 11.
technically, because it's 11 in like a couple hours.
Okay, so it'll be 11 when we upload this, probably 11 or 10. That's a W.
Around.
That's a W. We're getting there.
I like that.
Anyway, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We'll be, making this content all season long. Would love for you to tag along this journey, this 2024 season with us. And with that, that's all I got. So, any parting words, boys? I'm kind of flubbing this right now. It's okay.
No, you're good. Thank you for everybody that showed up in the stream. Thanks everybody for watching. Like Noah said, be sure to stick around. We got a lot of fun content coming down the pipeline. A lot of ideas swirling around up here for the regular season. Locks of the week, other things to be determined and tracked throughout the season. So if you want to stick around, we would love you to be here. We shoot the shit, have a good time. So.
Oh, he just got. Is that M&Ms?
Peanut butter M&Ms.
Wow.
Very nice. All right. Well, I guess we'll cheers it and then get up out of here.
My parting words are: the first SEC matchup is South Carolina at Kentucky, Saturday, September 7th, 3:30 in the afternoon. So
I like it.
There we go.
Sankey, you're
on the clock.
Yeah, you are on the clock. You have 19 days, according to the quick math. I don't know if that's correct, but
it doesn't sound right at all.
Fuck it, he's got less than a month.
Because
he's got 2 to 3 weeks.
Anyway, but fellas, I had a good time. Thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out.
All right.
See you, Ryan.
See you, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.